Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Kerbal Space Endeavour. It's been almost 30 days, but I am back. I did successfully finish this one huge exam, and I am happy for it. So let's get back to business. As you can see, I have upgraded to version 0.25, and I've got all of my mods to work, and as you can CRP community resource pack needs to be updated, but nothing to really worry about. We'll do that for the next episode. So let's jump back in. I have tested this already a little bit. Upgrading to the newest version did work with my previous save. All seems to be working fine and properly, so yeah, here we are. And the most important part about version 2.5 is that they added a difficulty settings, and I pretty much put all of these things away. I'm still gonna keep the quick load because of all the mods that I'm using. It tends to get buggy from time to time, and yeah, the only way to really deal with this is if you're able to quick load. And I did set all the difficulty settings manually, because normally you set your difficulty parameters like how much science you get, how much reputation you get, and how much of all of the other stuff you get at the beginning of a new game. But since this is a previous save game that I implemented, I had to go into the save file and edit it myself. So right now we are at 60% gain from everything. Normally you get about 100%, and I reduced it to 60%. So now that we are here, let's see where we left off. We still have Kerbal construction time up here, and right now nothing is being researched, done, or anything else. And of course with 2.5 we now have the administration building here. And yeah, here we can decide on things that we want to do to increase certain outputs that we have. For instance, take 5% of science and turn it into funds. Take 5% reputation, turn it into funds. That is something we could think about. Take 5% reputation and gain science for it. Also not such a bad idea. Pretty much all of these just transfer one or the other into the next thing. So what would this as? Reduces launch costs and R&D purchases, and get minus reputation, funds for launching costs, vessel recovery factor. Well, I say we take the one where we get more money for each reputation we gain. So now we can commit to this, and I say we commit to 25%, I guess. And let's see how this works. Are you sure to activate the strategy? Yes, I want to activate the strategy. Sure. Let's see how that worked out. Now, let's take a look where we have left off. With a little bit of loading. Alright. So, we have our satellite system over Kerbin. We have our MUN system. It is a little bit off, but I can live with that. I'll fix it at some point. Also, over on Minmus, we have a little bit of an issue with our orbits. And we have our Surveyor 1. Alright. We have the Surveyor over MUN. We have the Surveyor over Minmus. We have our Dres mission. Actually, let's take a look at our alarm clock. We have no alarms set. That is not a good sign. We have our SATCOM for long distance transmissions. We have our MOHO mission. We have our space station, Jump Zero. And we have our ground logistics hub, with which we have already been sending fuel and resources to Jump Zero. Now, let's go in and see that we fixed our missions here. We have alarm clocks for it. Alright, so here we are. We have a connection. Everything is working properly. And okay, that is a rather interesting maneuver. Ah, okay, so this is a little bit off. $17 something. That increases it. There we go. That gives us an encounter. Okay, alarm clock for about, I guess there is a new version for a Kerbal alarm clock. Oh, that's good to know for the future. So we're gonna add a alarm for this maneuver here. So that is in 26 days, right? Let's jump to our Dres mission. Okay, also here we do have a connection. Everything is working fine and properly. And a Dres set as target. And it doesn't seem like we have an encounter here. Oh, you would. There we go. There is the encounter with 5 million kilometers. Can we? Or a little bit too much. 52 kilometers res. Yeah, that'll work. So for this, we're also going to add a alarm clock again, and this will be happening in 88 days. Okay, cool and interesting. As you might see, what I have been adding as a mod is the custom asteroids mod, which lets me, or it just spawns asteroids randomly all over the urban system. But yeah, it'll make some contracts easier, because when it says bring a class D asteroid to Duna, and there's like an asteroid right there. I mean, it's a C class, but still, it should be a lot easier, and I don't have to capture it around Kerbal and bring it like all the way out to Joule. So yeah, it's gonna be... Now, back on Kerbal, we are back at our ground logistics hub, which has a full tank again, and we can send up more fuel and oxidizer. I'm gonna be doing this a couple of times in the future. I'm not gonna show all of this to you guys, because it's just clicking around and waiting for a day and an hour until it is being transferred. But now that we're here back on the station, it just takes a while for being transferred. Alright, new launch. Because we need astronauts that will do our construction in space, so like we need a workforce, I decided we're gonna send up a new part to our Jump Zero space station, which will have a bunch of Kerbals on board, and they will be our production team. And also what we're going to send up is some tech life support recyclers, so the only thing we should be sending on upwards from time to time is food. But I don't know if it is balanced yet. I don't really have tested it yet. I could build pretty much a self-sustaining base, but pretty much a self-sustaining base right over Kerbal is kind of useless. I mean, it just takes up a lot of material, and it would be probably cheaper just keep sending up food, water, and oxygen if we need it to the station. So we're just gonna do it that way. Alright, here you can see we're doing a normal docking maneuver with only a few thrusters at the bottom, so it's kind of swinging and wobbling around, but it seems to be quite stable, so yeah. This new part here, and what's going on here? Whoa, 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 oh yeah. Whenever you try to dock, try to deactivate all of your engines before trying to maneuver or do anything about anything, because yeah, this could have gone horribly wrong if I would have accelerated too fast. That happens when you have clumsy pinky fingers that kind of push buttons that they're not supposed to push. But yeah, these things happen. However, nothing exploded, it's still stable, it's kind of just wobbling around. However, we're returning our launch stage back to Kerbal, and yeah, pretty much our Jump Zero is almost ready to start constructing its first vehicle, to which we will get later. Now, as you might know, Deb Refund was a mod that I've used previously, which will let me recover stages without actually having to fly them myself when they return to Kerbal. Because that mod is actually stock now in 0.25, it is become obsolete, so yeah. Now, back to our station here. A flaw in the design was I never really installed any lights on the original design, so when we were on the dark side of the planet, it was always kind of dark, so I brought a lot of lights with me, and here we just have some Kerbal Space construction time going on, where we are attaching lights on various parts of our craft, so yay, we can finally see how things look when we are behind Kerbal. Now, importantly about these production facilities that I'm transferring all of my Kerbals in right now is the more and the smarter they are, the higher the productivity is, and therefore my construction time while in space will go down, as you can see right here. Now, this is important if you use this mod, just to remember that smartness is actually important for productivity, but you guys can figure that out probably without me telling you, so yeah. And things break off again. So what this is my little delivery truck, which will be transferring rocket parts and fuel, additional fuel, to our ground logistics hub, so we can actually start sending up rocket parts to our space station and finally get down to building stuff. So this is just pretty straightforward. We're just gonna go down and use Kerbal attachment system to link both crafts together, then start transferring our goods to the space station via the logistics hub, drive off, recover the truck pretty much, so next time we're going to build it and fill it up with stuff, the construction time will be a lot less. So yeah, here we have our rocket parts, and we just go on to our logistics hub, say new transfer. We have to select our target and our origin, and where do we have our rocket parts? Rocket parts. There they are. Alright, so when moving around these things, you always have to pretty much select the amount you need, and then you can see how much oxidizer and liquid fuel this will use up. So now we have additional liquid fuel and oxidizer. I'm just gonna mess around with this a little bit to see how much additional fuel we can bring along. So it's not just rocket parts we're shipping, we're actually shipping some fuel as well. And there you see the point of view changed a little bit, indicating that the goods have been transferred or are being transferred at the moment. And our logistics hub is already producing fuel again to save us additional money. I could be producing rocket parts myself without using funds, but I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to Kerbal, so yeah, that's just the way we're gonna do it. So here we have moved forward a little bit. So as you can see, we already have the rocket parts. We've already received the rocket parts. And now we can look towards future projects. And as you might remember, we have 2 contracts stating pretty much build bases around Mun build bases on and around Minmus. And I felt like it's probably the best idea to build these things on our new space station right away. So space station's building space station. Inception. But while we were moving forward and building another space supply truck to deliver some more goods, we have an alarm clock coming up. Our Moho mission needs some attention. And somehow my craft did not have a connection, so I was kind of had to fast forward, and all of a sudden I did get a connection back, and it's kind of weird. I don't really know why, because the satellite that is around Kerbal shouldn't be in any kind of dark part of the planet, or it shouldn't be in the dark side of the planet that long. But I might have to change some things around. However, once again, with a little bit of time warp and moving things forward, we have to adjust a new maneuver node so we get closer to Moho, because we time forwarded and therefore passed our window of opportunity for the maneuver node that I said a while ago. And yeah, basic rocket science and maneuvering science, or whatever you want to call it. Smartness, maybe we should call it smartness. I do not have it. However, this is back on track and going to Moho. Back at Jump Zero, now we have transferred enough rocket parts to build a craft that I have been designing. And it is the Awesotron Mark I. The name was decided by the viewers who were watching me while I was streaming this live. And with extra planetary launch pads, we can now start building stuff. We have enough rocket parts, so we can start constructing it. And as you can see, it takes quite some time to build, and as I said, this is linked directly to productivity of your Kerbals, or smartness, or actually non-stupidity for that matter. And yeah, one thing I tried to figure out was if the construction of vehicles is happening even if I am doing other things meanwhile. But as you can see, I had to fast forward here. It does not. So I actually have to sit out and wait for things to be constructed. Well, once it is done, I can finalize the build, and whoop, there it is. There it appears, the Awesotron Mark I. Now this craft is designed to be pretty much a delivery craft. It is small. It has by itself a delta V of 10,000 meters per second, and it is pretty much meant for transferring crews between the space stations that we're going to build around Mun and Minmus. And it should technically be able to push and move things around as well. Even though I haven't tested it yet, I feel confident that it does. I can't really build a really big space truck like we had in the previous space program. But the reason for that is because I don't have the big docking ports yet, which I still have to science. And for that we need to get more stuff, and before I can do that, yeah, it's a kind of a loop. But however, we have here our Awesotron. It is ready, it is capable, so we can get to do more things. Maybe really start building the base for Mun or Minmus. I haven't really decided yet. But yeah, everything is done, everything is prepped, everything is ready. Thank you guys for coming back, and sorry for my long absence, but I am back on track. Things are going to start back up again, and I hope I can still entertain you guys as I did before, and I'll see you next time.